Alrighty, welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable show. My name is Todd Pierce.
My name's Dean Martin. We're up to number 7.
Number 7, we've got...
Lachie Stewart.
Hey, Lachie Stewart, welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, nice. This is number 7, and this is a special episode for us where we're going to be talking about something that's obviously very important to us as men, and that is men's health in respect to our mindset, our emotions, our family, our purpose, what we do in life, work, all those good things. And Lachie's an interesting bloke. We're really excited to have him on board because he actually has an amazing business that he started called the Man That Can Project. And what he's doing is he's actually helping men really reconnect with their authentic self, overcome the emotional and psychological things that kind of hold them back, and really embrace a life that makes them happy. So we're really excited to have him here.
Yes,
Lachie, mate, good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So basically, to start off, mate, tell us a little bit about you, where you come from, what it is that you actually do, and like where you're at now with things and coming into 2020.
2020 is an exciting year. First, thanks for having me on, boys. It's an honour. I've watched a few of the episodes and love it. But yeah, for myself, so I grew up in Toowoomba and have a family from the country, and then my goal, like a lot of blokes, is to be a professional athlete. So after school, I was chasing that dream of rugby.
About that.
Yeah, when that didn't work out for me, I was left trying to find out who I was, really. I didn't have any understanding of who I was as a bloke. I didn't want to do university. I really didn't want to do a trade because I had different ways of viewing those things. So I was just left there going, I'm a complete failure. So much like we were chatting about before, I turned to drugs and alcohol as a way to sort of avoid what I really didn't want to deal with and to ask myself those hard questions. And that sort of brought on that ripple effect of, depression, anxiety, and then got myself in a bit of trouble, which was the wake-up call for me, and that was in 2013, which gave me that moment to change my life. Not that I wasn't aware of it at that time. So then for 2014 it was, a good mate of mine gave me a book. And this is crazy because I didn't read, right? I hated reading, unless it was like a free rider motocross magazine or a skateboard magazine.
So they bring the movie out later.
And there's so I got this book and I read it, and it was the most boring book I've ever read, The 4 Agreements, if you've read it.
No, never read it. So who read that?
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay, yep.
It's a really boring book, but it's really powerful. Like, it has obviously the 4 agreements of life. And what excited me about when I read that book, for one, I finished a book, which was pretty cool. And 2 was the lessons that I learned. That was the moment that shifted something inside myself to realize that I could be more than the beliefs that I had about myself. So when the athlete identity disappeared, I didn't have an identity. I was just that guy who took drugs, cheated, lied, and was just going to be a chippy for the rest of my life because I was doing my apprenticeship at that point in time, and I fucking hated. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, man.
I hated every moment of that. I just woke up every day just going, fuck, is this all there is? But deep inside I knew there was something bigger that I had to offer. I wasn't quite sure what that was, but the moment that I finished that book, that's when I just got hungry for personal development.
So what were the 4 agreements for the people watching and listening?
You put me on the spot here. The first one is be impeccable with your word. Your self-talk, how you talk to yourself, how you talk to others.
Powerful one.
And can't remember what the other 2 are off the top of my head. If you can bring them up on the prompter, mate. No. But yeah, no, they're so simple. And when you read them, so do your research at home, guys, Google it. You'll read it and you go, that's simple to live by and, extremely powerful. So for me, that was a game changer. And from that, I started reading Tony Robbins. I was just asking whatever popped up in a book that really excited me to learn a little bit more about, I would find the next book that could lead me to that, or and then obviously that then led me into podcasting and started to listening to all that sort of stuff, and that was it. And I would think I was fortunate to get myself into a position where I was just like, act now and ask questions later if I didn't know how to do it, and that learning through doing taught me the best way of getting to where I am now.
Jump off the cliff and develop your wings as you fall.
Good way to do it.
Yeah, which, in hindsight, it's been interesting. I'm going through obviously with where the business is at right now. So last 14 months have been massive for the Man That Can project, but, full up in one-on-one coaching, going into the workshop space now, just because I think it's fun and get more men in and create that environment, which is exciting.
So talk about that. So how did you find yourself kind of getting, what kind of made the Man That Can project come to life? What was that?
Cool. So for me, it was when I first read that book, I got really excited. So you can go onto my Instagram and scroll back to 20. You can watch the whole journey, right? Which is cool for me to look back. And when I started learning these things, I was like, right, I'm going to write a post about it. And I was poor at English, so my missus, I'd send her all my stuff. I was like, can you proof this and make it sound a little bit better? And through that process, I learned to write, which was cool. But then I started doing videos. So I've still got all my first videos. They keep popping up on Facebook, and it's awesome. And I'm
memories. Yeah.
I'm in a tradies like fluor outfit, or I'm hiding under the job site taking a video. I'm walking by the pool, and I'm just this angry young dude who mumbles, and I'm like, "This is time and money went on," and I can mumble. I look back and I'm like,
"Wow,
no wonder no one could understand you, and no wonder you hated yourself." Like, come on, bro. Like, but it was through that process I started documenting everything, and I would get criticized by people, but I would also get to look back and go, okay, I need to speak with my mouth a bit more open, or I need to start using articulating things better, because I would just say things like "fuck," and I still do that, but like, I wouldn't explain things well.
It's a good fucking word.
Yeah, fucking it. So I learned through all this process and just giving myself my own feedback from it that I needed to start, improving my posture, improving how I looked, improving how I articulated things. And I just kept learning from my own development. And then as a result of that, people over time started going, "Oh, I love what you're doing. Love what you're about. How did you overcome this?" Because my whole brand, the whole Man That Can brand, is built off my story and my journey, because I like to be as open about everything as possible, much like yourself, guys. And it was just a ripple effect from that. And there was 2017. So I went into network marketing.
Mate, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Certainly have.
I was saying to Etienne on the way over, like, I didn't know the product, I didn't know the conversation, but I was just like, I want that result. So I was on the phone. I lost a lot of mates in the process, but I was just wanted that result. But it taught me all the skills that I needed to now. So even like people are like, how did the Man That Can go from here to here in 14 months? Well, I'm like, well, it wasn't really 14 months. Like, I'd been building this guy for the last 7 years and getting clear on what I wanted to do, learning sales, learning marketing, doing all that sort of stuff in the background, right? So network marketing was a huge part in that. And when 2017, when I sort of got out of that, I had people going, "Can you coach me?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to be a coach." So then I had another hang up on a coach, because I don't know why, I just didn't like coaches. So then when they're like, "What actually are you?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm not a coach."
Mr. Dude.
And then over time, I was like, right, I started coaching people and didn't have any structure. I didn't really know specifically what I wanted to give them, but was just using my experience and story. And then it got to a point where I was like, right, I need framework. That's what I feel is needed for my next step in the journey. So I did NLP.
Yeah, nice.
And that, I didn't even know what NLP was. I was just like, I'm just going there to improve my sales skills and get a program on how to coach me. That's all I did. But then I went in there and my mind was like, boom.
I was exactly the same. I was in sales.
Yeah.
And a guy that I work with was like, that's how because obviously we're all NLP trained here. For those that don't know, NLP basically helps you take control of your mindset, your mindset, your emotions, and gives you the skills to be able to communicate effectively with yourself and the world around you. And it was sales that drew me there too. My mate's like, "Bro, check out Tony Robbins. You know who he is?" I'm like, "Nope." Went and watched him. I go, "It's the guy from Shallow Hell." And he goes, "Bro, have you seen Darren Brown?" I'm like, "Nope." He goes, "Go home, YouTube him." I'm like, went home, YouTube him. I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." I'm like, mind tricks, mentalism. And then I booked myself into an NLP course, but it was because of sales. I wanted to become better at sales. And it's funny, that network marketing thing, and this is important too, because obviously, and it's on the list of the things we want to talk about today, but like in respect to skills, like you need to expose yourself, especially moving into 2020 and beyond. Like as men, we need to start to expose ourselves to a more diverse range of skills. And like any man that's, watching this right now, I think it's important not to be scared of doing something new. It's important not to be worried that, oh, that's not me. I haven't been that, therefore I can't do it. Because you'll be fucking surprised by just how much you can do if you just give it a go. It's like you said, you couldn't read. You fucking just did it because it became important to you. You will do it if it's important to you. And like for me, I was a fucking drop kick fucking jailbird. And like I got out, I learned these skills on how to communicate. And for me, I believe communication now is a mother skill.
100%. And it will change your life.
Change your life. But anyway, sorry, man. Interlinked in there, but the frameworks and stuff like
frameworks, I got that, and then I was like, sweet, I'm good. So I had my framework, and then I was in Europe this time. Oh, actually, I was just getting back from Europe this time last year. But when I remember in Germany, I was going to get myself a schnitzel for those at home.
Chicken
Go get a schnitzel, and I was just thinking, because I had all these people asking, and I was like, what was the one thing that I needed 5 years ago when I was lost, had no real understanding of what else I could be in the networks, and I was like, if I had access to people from all walks of life where I could grab their stories and learn their life skills, that would fucking change the game, and it would save me so many mistakes that I made, and it would have, blown the lid off what I believed about myself much, much earlier. So I was like, men's circle, let's get it happening.
Yes.
Literally, the first video on the Man That Can project thing is me walking along the street in Germany going, righto boys, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I launched it literally on the way to the pub. So
nice.
That was it. I didn't know what it was going to do. Like, I remember my first men's circle, I wrote out my story and all this sort of stuff. And then when I got there, I was like, no one wants to hear my fucking story. Like, let's just chat.
Yeah.
And then over time, we've tried different things. And, the last 12 months, we've had over 300 different blokes come through the men's circles. And we've launched another one in Toowoomba now as well, which is where I grew up.
So with the men's circle, so talk to us about that. So what do you kind of, for men that are thinking about, maybe coming to a men's circle, or doing something, what can they expect coming on to something like that?
Some people walk in and go, fuck, it's an AA meeting because you're in a circle with
I went to AA.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's good.
It was weird. No, it was...
Well, this is better.
So what can they expect kind of coming along to that?
Literally, it's just blokes. Like, the thing is, you don't need a men's circle to have the conversation we have. I'm just trying to put men in an environment to go, fuck, that was really good to have that conversation. You're sitting side by side with people you've never met.
Yep.
And it's real funny, right? You'll see people walk in for the first time and they'll sit down. I don't make anyone stand up. We're all equal here. So you sit there and everyone's fucking, you can see they're nervous about talking.
Yep.
I always, pre-frame it. It's like different beliefs, values, experiences in life. So probably going to have different points of views, but drop all that and just seek to understand before fucking belling. If you can offer some advice, cool. If not, just sit there.
They can chill, yeah.
Yeah. And you'll see is the moment, I always plan someone now to sit there and just go deep straight away, because otherwise you'd get halfway around and then someone would finally share something that's pretty significant and it'd be like a waterfall after that.
Yes.
And it just opens and then guys are like, that's the best thing I've ever had. And I'm like, it's a conversation. Like, that's it. And what I believe it brings to a lot of guys, it helps them ask better questions. They get to see a little bit of live workshopping, like me challenging people and asking questions, and then also it allows them to get stuff off their chest, which they don't feel comfortable doing anywhere else. But the goal of that is to create this ripple effect where we can all go back to our own communities and wherever and start having those conversations. And you realize that it's not weak to talk about that stuff. It's not weak to have those life challenges. It's just normal. And you're sitting in a room, we cap it at 30.
Yep.
30 guys, and you're like, you've got this successful partner in a law firm. You've got people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, I did not expect that from you. And then you go, huh, we're all just as fucked up as each other. It's pretty cool.
Most definitely.
Something I want to point out to anyone that and obviously for any man, I'd suggest definitely going along to something like this with Lachie. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but my vibe, and like we've run many events. I've done this for almost a decade now, and we've like had hundreds upon hundreds of people come through. You'll be shocked for the people watching or listening how easy it is to open up and be honest with someone you don't fucking know.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely.
I just recently had this conversation with my wife. I said to her, and this was tough for me to say this. I said to her, I said, I find it easier sometimes to be open and brutally raw with someone I do not know than I do with you. And it's really interesting. It's because those that are closest to us, right, they're the ones that we fear judgment from the most. So like for anyone that thinks about going here, this is a great place to be able to open up. And then, like as you said, the subsequent effect of that is that then everyone starts to open up, and then it's like the law of association, right? You all get that growth, that learning, and when there's like heaps of different people in one spot with different experiences, like
it's mind blowing.
It's fucking
What would be the main problems or reasons why someone would go to you though?
So coming along to the men's circle, most people, there's like a lot of job stuff, like just feeling unfulfilled in daily life. Relationship stuff is the big one, and just honest, like understanding who they are. Like we're so stuck, and I just it's sad to see, because it's like obviously understanding how you view the world and knowing where I've come from, where you guys have all come from. It's like you can create change, and it's you're sitting there going, these people are at effect of their life, right? They're not taking responsibility from it. And obviously, I haven't met a lot of these guys who are coming in there, so I'm not just going to go, fucking let's go right now.
Yep.
But to see all these men at the effect of their jobs, their relationships, because they're not setting boundaries, they're not taking ownership for all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
It's heartbreaking, but it's also like, right, this is exciting, because hopefully someone brings something up that's going to shift something inside of them to go, fuck, I've been doing that for such a long time. I'm going to go home and change that.
Yep.
I'm going to go home and change this. I'm going to go home and change that. I'm going to put my hand up and ask for help now. And that's what we see is happening. Right? And as a result of that, that's why I went into doing workshops and stuff now, is because I want to go, right, well, we can give you so much help here, but let's take you to the next stage, which is, helping you take responsibility and ownership for all that and start putting some stuff in place and acknowledging a few things. And it's just like this progression of becoming a better man, right? I call it hashtag building a better man mindset. The man at camp mindset. I was like, the new one, that sounds different.
That's a new one.
Doesn't sound like me. The man at camp mindset. But, taking them when they're ready, because obviously some people don't want to accept responsibility right now.
Sometimes it's hard to slay the dragon.
100%. I know taking ownership for all my shit was so hard at the start, but then, you get to a point where...
What do you reckon that is for? Like, why is it so hard for men to come forward? What are the main reasons?
Fear, like the fear of judgment, of guilt, of not being what they feel they should be in society. Like, I know for myself, a lot of that, like, I was an elite level runner and then a footy player, and that's what everyone thought I was going to be. And then when I wasn't living up to that, I was like, fuck. I didn't just go, I'm just not good enough. I was like, nah, fuck this. Let's derail it. Let's go hard.
Yes.
That's how I worded it like that.
Yeah, that's so important too. Yeah. Like, when we experience sudden and rapid change, it really does. Like, if you're striving towards something, and like this obviously is listening and watching, like sometimes when we're like striving towards something and that thing gets taken away from us, like you've got one or two options that we tend to go towards, right? You either will grow from it or you will fucking self-destruct. And like I did that as well. When I got out of prison, I got myself into a relationship and like it was all good. But like looking back, the way that I self-destructed that relationship is ridiculous. Like it was a great relationship. Everything was really, really good. But because I felt so fucking empty inside, and like when I think about what empty meant for me that like I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like I had no direction. I felt like I was completely reliant on everyone. Like I was reliant on my dad. I felt like, because like, what does it mean to be a man? Like this is the fucking question, right? And it's one that's been fucking floating around for a long time now. What does it mean to be a fucking man in 2020 and beyond? And like I can look back and like I'm older now, I'm grayer now, and I can look back and I've got a lot of experiences where I've self-destructed many areas of my life. And like, when I self-destructed the relationship when I was 18, it was because I felt like I wasn't being a man. But what the fuck does that mean? It's like, if you look back traditionally, we talked about this a little bit earlier, like being a man traditionally meant, in my opinion, it meant you had a sense of valor. It was like you were courageous. When things were hard, you were someone that could be turned to help pull things back together.
Protection. You
were the protector. You were the provider. And like, if you fast forward to today, I'm thinking, how's it possible that a lot of men feel these challenges as well? But we'll think about it, right? We had this revolution, we'll call it a revolution, but we had this shift societally back in, the 70s, 80s, 90s, where women's rights became important, which is a fantastic thing. Like, I'm a firm advocate of equal opportunity. I'm an absolute oppositional bastard when it comes to equality of outcome. For those that don't know, equality of opportunity means that we can all start the race at the same time. Equality of outcome means that we should all finish the race at the same time, no matter what effort we put in or how good we are. So I think that equality of outcome and the people that push the equality of outcome agenda are monsters. It's a complete injustice. It's the worst possible thing, because when you try to make everybody finish at the same time, no matter of what effort they put in. And like the metaphor that I like to say is this, right? It's like, okay, great. So we should make everything flat, which is fantastic. Everyone should be able to have, the same amount of pay, no matter how many hours that they do. And this is the whole argument, right? It's like, men and women get paid differently. Well, I watched a YouTube clip with the Australian Parliament. I think it was this last year or the year before, where the women's rights government lobby were in there speaking to the senator or the judge, and basically saying, look, here's the facts, here's the data. The discrepancy between what men earn and what women earn are right here. Now, never have I before seen such a patient man ever as this guy who was residing over this issue. And he said, okay, great. So you're saying that there's a discrepancy in pay, there's a pay gap. And he goes, where'd you get that data? They go, well, what we did was we took all of the data and we annualized the income. So we took what they were earning and we annualized it. So no matter if you work part-time, casually, or full-time, we annualized it. And see, what that does is it skews the data.
Yeah.
And this guy was very, very, very smart. He said, okay, so you've got a man, you've got a woman working in the same job. Are they getting the same rate per hour? And these women are like, we annualize it. He goes, no. Is it same per hour? And they're like, yes. Okay. So if it's the same per hour, how is it possible that we've got this pay gap? He goes, did you take into account the difference in hours that are worked between some men and some women? And they're like, oh, no, that wasn't part of our research. He goes, oh, interesting. I thought that'd be an important aspect. So you've got this revolution that's happened, if you would, where obviously now women can go out and can work. And like that was an important thing, right? Because up until the point where the feminists came in and they made that shift where it was like a woman's role was to cook, clean, and look after the kids.
Yeah.
So that got expanded, right? That got expanded. And it said a woman can cook, they can clean, they can be a wife, they can raise kids, and they can earn money. And that was a fantastic enriching of that perspective, right, for women. However, what's not changed is men. See, for men, we've basically, we look after our family, we earn money. That's what it is for men. That's what it's been for men for a long time. And there's a disconnect, I feel, between how much emotion and connection, I've gone on a tangent, I apologise, everyone, but like, obviously I'm very emotional about it, right? There's a disconnect between how much affection that a man feels that he should give his children as well. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. And it's like, at what point do we start to enrich the model and be like, okay, you're a man, you not only need to protect your family, not only need to provide for your family money, house, safety, you can also be there emotionally, you can be there as a dad, for example.
Yeah, well, you just got to think back, like when you were growing up, or so we crave the love that we get the least, right? Which is most of us, it's a father figure, because the dads, as you said, are being the protector and the provider, and they can't show. No, I haven't fucking hugged my dad until my missus made me do it. Like, I hugged him. There's 3 times I can remember, which is when I won a grand final.
Yep.
Cool. And then a couple of years ago, my missus made me hug him.
Yep.
That's 2 times I can remember.
When was the last time that you told your dad that you love him?
Oh, can't remember. I don't think it's a thing.
That was so hard for me.
And so even for me, like the hardest love I find to give is to my dad and my brother, and they're the driving force behind the Man That Can project, right? But everyone else, I'm sweet, and it's fine. But it's just there's some resistance there that I don't know what it is yet. But anyway, yeah, going back to your point, it's like we crave that, right? So I say to myself, like, when you're going, like, what is the definition of a man? Well, I go, when I was growing up, yeah, it was cool being able to be provided with all these experiences because of the money that they earned and the protection that they had. But I would have fucking loved to have been told I was appreciated, I was loved, or have those moments.
So.
Yep.
So then I go for myself, well, fuck, I don't want to be how my dad was. And not saying that's just the way he was conditioned, but I'm like, I want to be able to have those conversations with my son. I don't have a son yet, but if I assume I'll have a Lachie Jr. one day.
Hey.
But like, I want to be that. That's the kind of man that I want to be, because I know how much that would have had a positive impact on my life, more than just that hardened man that we've seen. And I think if you're watching this, you're now made aware of it. You can redefine what that is, right? So
we're there now. We made it there somehow.
Why
don't we define what it means to be a man? Because obviously, last year, the year before, we had a fantastic bit of propaganda. You can burn me at the stake right now. You can burn me later. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I did not like the Gillette ad. All right? I'll say it now. I'll say it loud. And I'll tell you why. I don't understand. See, my wife, she said to me, she goes, what is it about this ad that you don't like? So, see, she's a very smart woman. I love her very much. And she challenges me all the time, which is why I think I love her so much. And I'm stubborn like a mule. I'm stubborn as, like, I get it from my dad. My dad's a Scorpio. If you're into that kind of hippie stuff, then you know what I'm saying. Dad's a Scorpio. Mum's a Leo. She's a fiery type. And me, I'm stubborn as a fucking ox. And like, she said to me, what is it about men looking after people that need to be looked after properly? I said, Shani, that's not it. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And it took me months to actually be able to articulate what it was about this fucking ad that I did not like. And what I hated about it was, and it took me down a dark hole, a dark hole of like politics, right? Like before that ad, I did not give a shit about politics. Like literally, I did not care about the right, the left, the nothing. Even right now, I'm not left-leaning, I'm not right-leaning. I'm like...
just hanging.
I'm just an observer, right? Just so you know, I don't lean either fucking way. I observe, and I'll call out bullshit on both sides of the political spectrum. And like all...
Does it often.
I do it often, yeah. You know, it's the whole... Gillette man. Like it's evident that they did not make the right choice based on the outcome that it was produced. They lost $8 billion after that ad. And it's like, okay, well, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, why do I have so much resistance to this? And now, sitting here now, I can articulate what it was. The fact that they tried to stereotype and cast all men as predatory, violent, aggressive people that enjoy seeing other people get hurt. That was the overarching frame that they tried to give. And then what they said is they said a man should be the kind of person that looks after other people, you know, is a protector. And I said to Shani, I said, I got it. I know why. I've got it. I go, it's because they're trying to say that we're all fucking predators. We're all this aggressive person that's going to rape someone, that's going to beat someone up, that's going to bully someone, and that we're not already the protector. That shit pisses me off. And that's the reason why they lost $8 billion in revenue, is because men already are protectors. We already, like if you speak to, I don't know about you, but I don't know any fucking person that would watch two kids roll around beating each other up. I know none, right? I've never met a guy that would stand there and go, that's it, kids. But Charlie, mate, hit him in the guts. Hit him in the guts. Yeah, that's it. Kick him in the nuts now. I know no one that would do that. Yeah. Standing around at a fucking barbecue, turning their... like, it's the ultimate stab at being a man. Yeah. And like we already have this fucking issue where all the schools are removing ways that boys can establish their status and like boundaries. Like, you know, they're like rough and tumble time is absolutely, do any research into the psychological literature and you will find that all the evidence suggests that boys need boys growing up, we need a place to be able to test ourselves. We need a place to be able to establish what's too much, what's not enough. Yep. We need to be able to hurt ourselves. We need to be doing rough and tumble because we learn what boundaries are, right? So you've got, let's talk about what the conflict right now. I don't think there's a crisis of masculinity or a crisis of men. I think that there's a whole heap of people trying to bubble wrap everybody and turning into this flat neutral world. And what you're doing is you're denying the fact that there is biological factors that separate men from women. You know, testosterone is a really, really big factor and it influences a lot of our personality. And like men naturally seek status. And when you remove the ability, like the removal of a first place, second place, third place from different activities in school is not good.
It does my fucking head.
It's not good. Giving everybody an award is not good. Number one, it creates the entitlement attitude where they become entitled. Oh, in school, I got a medal just because I did something. And now they're fucking 32 years old, they're in a job, and they're not making as much money as they want, and they go, oh, but why can't I get a raise?
Yeah.
Seriously, it's anyway, what's your thoughts on that?
I could have just sat there and listened for a long time.
Do you get many issues coming up that's around masculinity and things?
And how
feeling?
Whenever I'm dealing with clients, it's never a thing of masculinity, right? Like I think... It's just when, like, I get asked on podcasts or, you know, having conversations with people and it's like, it's being portrayed exactly how you said it was. And it's like, there's no fucking... Men and women both possess masculine and feminine energy.
There's
so
good behaviour and bad behaviour.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not toxic masculinity. You know, if you frame it well, it's like it's toxic behaviour. Yeah. Yep. The stuff that you spoke about before, that's fucking toxic, whether you're a male or a female doing it, right?
Just sorry to cut in, but like, just for you don't know, like, I don't know if anyone else has been to prison. Obviously, I have. I spent a significant amount of time there. I had to hide the fact, for those that don't know, when I was 18, I was wrongfully charged with rape, which crossed all of my boundaries. Like, I could never touch a woman, and like to be labelled that, number one, made me extremely angry and bitter. But I had to hide that when I went to prison because there are two things that people hate in prison. Number one are kiddie touchers, so pedophiles, people that touch kids. Number two, men that abuse women. Like, those kind of people get beat up. We fucking think of this. Take whatever hat you have on right now off. Open yourself up to a different way of thinking. If in the place where all the bad people are supposed to be, there's so much negativity and resentment towards people that hurt women, how is it possible that, and you could assume, right, in that place there's a lot of masculinity, right? If in that place there's so much resentment towards rapists, people that beat up women and stuff like that, how is it possible that toxic masculinity is a real thing? So as Lachie was saying, it's toxic behavior because we never talk about toxic femininity. Do we? We never do. But you can have women that do bad things, you can have men that do bad things. And where Gillette fell over is that they tried to cast type all men as being predatory animals. But it's the Pareto distribution principle. It's the 80-20 rule, right? They say in prison, only 5% of all people there do most of the crime, right? 5%. There was a story that I read about this bike theft rink in Canada. Anyway, they found the top person, the one that was organising the crime. They arrested that person there, and 95% of all crime disappeared instantly. It's not all people that were stealing bikes. It was a select couple of people that commit the most crime. So you could assume with the same Pareto distribution principle that there's 20% of people that are fuckwits, let's call them what they are, and then you've got 80% of people that are normal, good, decent human beings. So therefore, it is absolutely an injustice for anybody to ever cast type your ordinary man as this bad villain. But that's what's happening, and that, like, it's psychologically draining. Like, I'll tell you another story, right? So just yesterday, I was out with my son, and we're down at Redcliffe. We had a nice dinner, and we were playing at the park. There was a little girl who was talking to me. Okay, this is fucking real, and this like hurts me because I'm a loving person. I love kids, and I could never. Like, it tears me up right fucking now. Like, people that do things to kids, it makes me so mad. And, like, this little girl, she would have been like, oh, fuck, how old would she have been? She would have been like she was 7 because she told me. She's like, oh, it's my 7th birthday in 9 days. And, like, she was talking to me, and I just wanted to, like, just give her a kindness and love. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, what if somebody looks at this and thinks that I'm being a predator? And that then leads into collective guilt, which we were talking about earlier. In the back of my mind, I'm like looking around thinking, oh, fuck, so mum like close enough where she can hear that I'm not trying to like take her into a van?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, that's fucked up that I felt like that.
That doesn't allow you to be your authentic self.
I can't
as
be
well,
my
right?
authentic, caring, loving self. And like, there are 2 other boys playing with my son, and these boys would have been like maybe 8 and 10.
Yep.
And like, I was just chatting to them normal. Didn't even think about it at all. Didn't think about it. I'm just like, yeah, this is sweet, just chatting away. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, like, what if someone takes me just talking to this little girl as wrong?
Well, it takes one thing. One thing, and that kiddie could say anything, and they could turn on you.
No, not even that. It's like it's this perspective that men are going to do the wrong thing. And I realise now, just sitting here, that I was victim yesterday to collective guilt.
Yeah.
And that's something that's cast on us from society right now, and all your mainstream media and stuff like that. If someone's going to do something wrong, it's going to be a man.
Yeah, and it's always going back as well, like we were speaking about just before, like even with aggression and all that sort of stuff. It's like I used to be really, really aggressive in my last relationship. Like if I got drunk, I was so fucking aggressive and I was angry all the time, and I'd have to check phones, or I'd fucking try and be as dominant as possible because it had to be my way because of my insecurities.
Yes.
And then as I started learning and reading, this realization only came to me about 6 months ago, but I'd become so weak as a man because I was scared of being masculine without even realizing it.
Yep.
Because I was like, if I be too aggressive, I'm going to be that guy again, which society doesn't like. If I, be stern and really assertive with what I want, that's being aggressive, and that's not valuing my partner X, Y, Z. When in reality, it's standing up for what I want. And we were touching on it before, but there are times where you need to have that rough and tumble. You need to have the aggression because it's a part of who we are genetically.
Yep.
It makes you fucking feel good to have a yell and not saying doing it in a bad way, but like you choose your moments.
But even doing that, like as just for blokes, like, and you like for blokey blokes, you'll completely understand what we're talking about right now. For those that maybe, because like I understand completely, there are some men that are more masculine, there are some men that are more feminine, and that's
doesn't
okay.
Discredit you being a fucking man.
That doesn't matter. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's completely fucking okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, in respect to like, how is it possible that men, and I'm just thinking, like, my mind's just going where it's going, sorry. I'm thinking about misogyny now, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so how's it possible that, because my sister, she's a vegan, and that should kind of say it all. Joking, I love you. I'm joking, but I'm serious, because veganism is obviously an ideology, and ideologies have different interesting things about them. But point aside, Megan is very, very opinionated, and that's great. I always love people challenging my ideas because it makes me rethink things. But she's like, almost all men are the ones that do all the crimes. And it's statistically speaking, it's accurate. But here's the thing, right? So if you think about aggression, so if you've got 10 people in a room, and if you're looking at who's going to be the most aggressive, you've got 6 of them are going to be men. They're going to be more aggressive than the women. So 4 women in a room out of 10, 4 women will be aggressive. 6 will be the men.
Yep.
Now that's insignificant on a small scale, but what happens as you start to scale out? You've got 1,000 people in a room. You've got 600 men who are going to be aggressive. 400 will be females. You scale it out. You've got 1 million. That's 600,000 men. And you've got 400,000 women. Now that's where it starts to become obnoxiously disproportionate, because it's not the middle ends of the spectrum that are where things are noticed. It's when you go out to the extremes.
I've never had this conversation, but we'll talk about it. I don't even know where I want to go with it.
Let's just go there.
I just think, like, if we go back to the conversation we were having before, where you felt you came victim yesterday because you wanted to show that young girl some love and stuff, but then in your head you're like, oh fuck, what if people think I'm a
predator?
Predator, all that sort of shit.
Toucher, yeah.
So it's like there must be so many men who are going through life experiencing moments like that for whatever reason, right? And as a result of that, we're not being able to be our true authentic self. So you get fucking resentful, you get bitter, and that builds up and builds up and builds up. Like, if you can't fucking hug your mate's daughter, I'm not saying that was your mate's daughter yesterday, but you can't do that because you're worried about judgment.
The metaphor's true.
Fuck me, you would get angry after a while.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not allowed to be who you are. And so then you go, okay, well, yeah, men statistically are proven to give more crime, but we're also... Well, I'm not even going into that conversation, but...
I'll take it. Put me on the cross.
But in a way, like, we can't express ourselves because of the beliefs and the way we've been societal. Yeah, and so it's like, well, fuck. I'm getting angry thinking about it.
If I can't be me, then who the fuck can I be?
Yeah. Yep. So of course I'm going to be resentful, and at times it's like I was thinking about then, like, if you're doing crime and organised crime, or even a good mate of mine, Ben, he explains it really well. Like, it's almost men in their feminine essence, where you're on a sporting field and you win. So let's say you win the grand final, then that's the time when men can break down and cry and fucking show emotion. That's feminine.
Yep.
So it's like, that's why we're attracted to sport and all of that sort of stuff and competition, because it allows us to be masculine, to get the result, to get out there, be competitive. But the moment that we can go, fuck, my hard work paid off, I can now cry and show another side of emotion. But had the sport not been there, you cry, mate, you're a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's brought upon, or you're not as strong a man. But when did it become like that? Because if I had to carry on how I was carrying on for the last 5 years for the rest of my life, I guarantee you would have gotten a lot more trouble.
Yep.
Guarantee.
How's your relationships changed with that then? Because if having those thoughts and those beliefs and things, like going from relationships back in the day to where they are now, are they stronger or better? Worse?
Way better. And I communicate so much better. But I'm the same. Like, there's times where I struggle to communicate to my partner the most, more than like random people that I talk to. But that's something,
because we fear the judgment.
The judgment. You respect their opinion a lot. But I'm more open in talking about my struggles, my challenges. I ask better questions, and I'm not insecure. Like, if my partner were to walk away from me, I would still be confident enough in myself that it'd fucking hurt and it'd be sad, but I would still be confident enough in myself to.
That's something to touch on. That's something to touch on too, right there, because I was reading, obviously, in Australia, this is as of 2019, these stats, but I was reading that there's roughly eight suicides a day in Australia.
Yeah.
And out of those 8 suicides, 6 are men. And I was reading, why is it that men commit suicide? And the leading factor as to why men commit suicide is because of a separation. Yeah,
if you
it's 54% of men commit suicide because of a separation in a relationship. I've got it written in my book wherever it is, but I think it was like 42% of men commit suicide because of financial worry.
Yeah.
And then the next one after that was conflict in a relationship at like 32% or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's with the Australian Mental Health Forum or whatever, their report card from the year, like you can read that. And for me, like the benefit of reading that, those other stats, it's like, well, fuck, if you're one of your mates, this is good things to look out for your buddies, is like, if a mate's just going through a relationship breakdown, or if you know they're doing it tough financially, fucking like hang on to them. Yeah, have the chat.
Statistically speaking.
Yeah, and you think about how many people are struggling financially, there's a lot of people, and then as men, we are the guys who are like, fuck, I'm supposed to have it. I know, my missus supported me for the first 4 years of our relationships. Yep. That hurt my ego massively. It's embarrassing. Because I'm supposed to be the guy who's supposed to be paying for dinners, supposed to be paying for that. I couldn't do that.
And once again, that links back into what does it actually mean to be a man? And historically, being a man meant you were a provider. But now we live in a day, 2020, where many, many more women go to university than men. Many more women finish high school than men. A lot of women are actually, like, statistically speaking, if you want to play the equality of outcome game, then there'd be a focus on making sure that, you know what, there are just as many men going through university as there are women. That there are just as many men finishing school as there is women. But that's not where the focus is, right? That's not where the media puts the focus. They put the focus on the inequalities in regards to the minorities because that sells more.
Well, yeah, this is just talking again, but like if we've got more women going into the workforce, which I think is fucking awesome because they got different ways of looking at things and solving problems, which is amazing. But we're not conditioning the men to go, okay, well maybe my role in this relationship is to step back and be the stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. And that's okay
like
as well.
There's all of them are awesome.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of men who struggle emotionally to connect that way. They go, fuck, well, I'm not supposed to be the stay-at-home dad, but you know, that might be what your arrangement is in the relationship, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But where's the education for men to go, right, if I want to be a parent, like women are nurturing, caring, and a lot of...
Yeah, so I had a thought right there. just for men that are in that situation there and happen to be listening to it, like if you're in that situation and that's okay, then obviously start letting it be okay.
Yeah.
But if it's not okay, you need to learn how to communicate that with your partner.
Exactly. It's you get to set the boundaries. You get to decide what, and it's going back to what does it mean to be a man in 2020. It's like you get to fucking decide what that is, right? Because everyone's different. Like the way you're brought up is completely different to how I was brought up, and we've all got a different ideology of what that is, and we've all got a different ideology of what that wants to be. Just like we've all got a fucking different way we want to live our life. There's no one size fits all model, and it shouldn't be said to be like that. Like that's why so many people are fucking unhappy and so many people are confused, because it's like if you're not, you know, it's black and white. If you're not doing this, you're not a man. If you're not doing this, you know, you're not a provider, you're not protected. But meanwhile, there's all this space here where we want to be sitting. And the moment that we give people permission, or we give ourselves permission to go, fuck, that's fine, I want to sit here.
Yep.
This is what it means to me, then that's fine. But it's just like black or white.
Yep.
People are not fucking black or white. Like we're confusing individuals. Like if you were to sit 100 people in this room, you'd get 100 different perspectives of the world, views of the world.
Yep.
And outcomes you want to have.
101. You've always got one split personality.
Yeah, true. It's like, but that's the reality of it. Yet we sit people in a classroom and go, this is the only way.
Yep.
And so you've got 99 people going, fuck, I don't fit into that. What's wrong with me? And then we go, I need to fit into this, so I'm going to start being someone I'm not.
Let's talk about school, because you just triggered a thought. So something else that's interesting that's happening too, and I was reading.
Go all day.
Mate, just triggered it. So I was reading a post written by a man. I can't remember if he was in Australia or not, but he's a teacher. And from memory, this is from memory, guys. From memory, he's in grade school, primary school, from 0 to 7 or whatever it is. Anyway, he was talking about how hard it is to be a teacher today and how he feels like he has to be very, very careful with how he shows discipline to kids. He was saying that he feels really, really awkward sometimes being in a classroom. This kind of leans back into that collective guilt, that thing that I was talking about with that girl. Yes, it's kind of similar. Like he feels uncomfortable sometimes being in a classroom alone with just one or two students.
Yep.
And as a result, there's like this pressure to just not be a teacher anymore. And he was saying, I sometimes find it hard to communicate this too, because I can't even explain what this pressure is. It's like this thing that's pushing down on me. And then I started to look at the statistics and found that there is a really, really low amount of male teachers in the system these days. Yep. It's predominantly female. And whilst that's not a bad thing for females being in a role, it's 100%, and once again, the psychological literature points to this, the evidence is there, this is not my opinion, this is facts. Men need male teachers in order to strive more. Like, there's a lot of data that shows that when boys have a male teacher teaching them, they actually learn more, they perform better, and they've got that good rail. Like, I remember in high school, right, there was a guy, Mr. Boyd, if you listen to this, you're awesome. You're awesome. He used to put shit on me. He used to he'd put me in place, right? Like, he wasn't scared to. He'd put me in place, and I loved it. I thrived for that. Like, we are hierarchical, right?
Yeah.
And there are people that want to make everything flat, those level 6. They want to make everything flat, egalitarianism. And the fact is that human beings are hierarchical in essence. Like, we organize ourselves in hierarchies, and the worst kind of hierarchy is a hierarchy that's based on tyranny. So, like, it's raw dominance and it's corrupt and it's just disgusting. That's the thing that the left fight against. That's the thing that those level 6 fight against. However, good hierarchies are hierarchies of competency. And, like, as a kid, like, when I got that, and there was Mr. Boyd, and there was another guy, I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, he used to drive around in, like, all the sports cars, and he was so cool.
Yeah.
He was, like, the cool teacher, and he was just like, I was like, fuck, you're just so awesome, you're so cool. He had muscles and stuff, and I was like, this is the coolest teacher. And he, too, used to put me in my place. Like, I don't even know what that looked like today. I don't even know what that would look like to have a teacher put a kid in their place. But all I can say, it was the best thing ever, because other people would not put me in my place, and I'd walk all over them.
I got a lot of respect for teachers having to do that, because they don't get a choice of who they work with as well. Like, fortunately for us in the coaching position, say, I only work with people I'd have a beer with.
Yep.
Because I know that, like, if I'd have a beer with you, I can tell you how it is, and you'd probably respect my opinion, as opposed to just someone going, I like the way Lachie sort of, I'd love to get the result that Lachie can give me, but then, you communicate in a way that they don't fucking like, and all of a sudden you've got yourself an intense argument on your hand that you don't want to have, right? Yep. So that's why, like, fuck being a teacher. I got a lot of respect for it, but you have to and that's the whole point of progress and having outside help and having a mentor, having a teacher, is because they see the world or see you in a different light that you may not be aware of. And that's why, like, we spoke about your environment earlier, but it's like having people in your life that put you into place, because I've got this view of myself, and a lot of the time I'm like, fuck, I'm doing quite well, and people are like, dude, you've been the most antisocial motherfucker for the last 3 weeks. I haven't seen you. So it's good having people put me in place. But if someone else, like, there's certain people that if they said that to me, I just tell them to get fucked.
Yeah.
And they're probably the people who wouldn't want to work with me, and I wouldn't want to work with them. So in this day and age, teaching kids and what could go wrong as well.
Teaching kids as a man. And it's just a question. It's just a question that is in my head. It's how can we start to free up the airways so that more men can feel good being a teacher again? Because it is important. Like, how can we change the conversation so that I don't feel bad showing kindness to a little girl who's playing near my son and wants to ask me questions about my tattoos?
Yeah.
Like how do we shift that? And it does frustrate me sometimes, because, like, I look at someone, I can see so much potential, and in every single person that I look at, but at the same time, so many people are possessed by these narratives that are circulating out there, and they're not necessarily the most healthy thing for us, especially as men. And, like, if we as men I talked about, like, over in the US, right, where some we'll call what is, some white men don't feel like they can talk up on certain issues, because it's like, well, I'm a white privileged male. What right do I have to even enter the conversation here? That's a collective guilt thing. It's like, I've been part of the problem. I have no right to stand up and even have a voice. Yep. Well, I'm sorry, you do have a voice. You do have a voice. You do have thoughts. You do have feelings. And every single time that you're not authentic and not real, and you don't respect that you've got those thoughts and those feelings, you're shutting off a piece of yourself. And it gets to the point where it's like that pressure cooker. where like you resist it, you deny it so much, denial's not just a river that runs through Egypt, and it just explodes, right? So like men, we need to like let this out. So we've kind of gone a couple of places. Let's talk about emotional fitness, because I've got it written up on the board there. So
you've got 3 minutes, mate.
Yeah, right.
This is beautiful. This is so good.
So obviously now we're talking about emotions and men exploding. So based on the work that you've done so far with men, with the Man That Can project, what kind of issues are men having when they come in with like their emotions and stuff like that? What kind of things do they share?
They just can't communicate what they're experiencing, or they feel guilted by having certain emotions, right?
Such as, can you give me an example?
Anger. Yep. Like, anger is a massive one, but also then not being able to express who they truly are, or the fact that they don't know who they truly are, because they've set themselves on having a certain career, and then they've become, let's say, Todd the lawyer.
Yep.
And I go, who are you? I'm a lawyer. Or what do you do? I'm a lawyer. Give me a bit more than that. I have fucking no idea. I know I go to work from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m, and then I eat dinner and go home. I'm like, cool. And so it's like, for them, the frustration is the fact that they don't know anything outside of that.
Yep.
So, that's why like even having men at the men's circle and just stimulating conversation and seeing how other men got through that, or what other men are doing in different stages of their life. Because, you've got, and I'm guilty of this, like before I had money, I was like, I've got to fucking grind it out and do whatever I can to get money. And then you get money and you go, it's not what you thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
And there's all these people who are striving for money, and we've got people who have companies come, worth millions of dollars, and they're the most chilled out people with their time. They're like, no, I went for coffee today, did lunch, was with my kids, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, but they're the ones who also go, I read a lot, and I was, trial and error, spent a lot of time working out what life wants to look like for me. And I've done the same. Like, my non-negotiable is I never want to sacrifice my training or my relationships. Like, granted, goes in waves, but it's like I'll get up and start work at 5:30, try and finish around 3:30, go to the gym for 1 to 2 hours, and then try and switch off. Like, that's what the discipline I'm trying to get in and around that. So then there's men who sit there and they'll go, I can't tell someone who I really am because I'm worried about judgment. And you're like, well, tell us.
Yep.
And they're like, I'm this and that, and everyone's like, I fucking did that. I've had those thoughts. I've done this, and then they're like, sweet, I'll go share that with my network. Or then they've got this just deep aggression for the world. It's like they're at effect of everything that's happened to them. It's like, this happened because of this person, or this job's got me stuck here, and you're just sitting, you're listening, and someone will give perspective, and you're like, you're at effect of everything that's happening to you.
Yep.
The moment that you decide, you can leave your fucking job right now, you can leave that relationship right now, but you're choosing not to. And there's so many blokes that are frustrated by that, because once again, we have to hold up a certain stereotype, and we can't peel away from that. And it's going back to you're either this man or you're this man, rather than the grey area, which is where a lot of us fit. So obviously, over time, there's more men who are standing up and being their authentic self. So they're getting, these micro niches, as we'd call them, in people, and they're getting huge followings, and more and more people are like, fuck yeah, he did it, so I'm going to be that person as well, because that's where I belong.
Yep.
And so to me, the issue isn't big. It's just it's not being spoken about. So when you said before, how can we overcome men not being able to give a hug to a girl without feeling like a predator? It's like having more fucking conversations about it, so we can get more people thinking about it, going, actually, that is fucked. The fact that you can't hug a girl because you feel like society might see you as a predator. And
on this too, and this is super important, and it's completely related to what we're talking about right now. We're having the conversation right now. Like, I haven't spoken to anyone about how I felt yesterday.
Yeah.
The first time I've spoken about it. And like, I'm happy to talk about it right now to all of you. Like, we'll go wherever it goes. And it's important because obviously I was extremely frustrated by that. And we're obviously talking about emotional fitness right now. And how do you be fit emotionally? Well, one thing is identifying that, like, if you're suffering, you have to communicate it. You have to find some way, right? Whether you go to a men's circle, we have a chat, you have to talk about that thing, because suffering leads to bitterness, in my opinion. Like, we feel bitter, we feel angry, we feel frustrated. We only want to stay there for so long, because then we start to feel resentful toward the world.
Yeah.
This kind of loops back to a loop that I started before, which is, how is it that men can become so misogynistic? It's because in my opinion, once it's just my opinion, everyone, in my opinion, there's a lot of things that have been taken away from men recently. Okay, you've got your traditional manly man that would go out there and do manly jobs. Okay, you've got a lot of these jobs that are being replaced by automation. You've got machines that can come in and do all the things that a man used to do. So I'm now not needed. And if I'm not needed, well, who the fuck am I?
Yep.
Who am I? What fucking use am I in the world? I might as well just go fucking neck myself. It's like, what good am I if I can't put food on the fucking table? So then there's like this bitterness and resentfulness that starts to grow. And like, because like I sometimes hear like men say things about women that aren't necessarily best. And like, I don't know about you, but like I used to be like that when I was younger. As I'm now, once I get a bit older, a bit more grayer, and I started to express my emotions, what I found is that the charge that actually created that resentment disappeared. Because like you have to remember, if you've got like resentment or any kind of negative feeling towards a thing, there's something under there charging it. So as like a man, like think about this, like if you've got some sort of negative feeling towards something, that means number one, you've got that in you, you could do that. And sometimes we resist that truth, which is I do have a monster in me. And like some men literally want to run away from the monster. And once again, I'd just a suggestion, embracing the monster. We talked about this before, right? It's like some men think that being a good man means being a good man and not being aggressive, not dominating other people, and not being those things. And that's being a good man. And I was just thinking this as we're at lunch, like you're eating and I'm just having these weird fucking thoughts.
Well, and I think eating the whole menu, by the way.
Yeah, I do eat the whole menu. And then it's like, well, I think it's important for men to learn how to cultivate their own monster. And what I mean by that is not being a monster going out there and doing bad things, but accepting the fact that you can be a monster, but you choose to not.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful because there are some circumstances, right? Like two of the biggest reasons why people go to therapy, like going to see like a clinician, like a clinical psychologist, something like that, would be number one, they've got depression or anxiety issues, but number two, assertiveness training. So learning how to be more assertive. Assertiveness for women is often quite low, but there are some men that also don't know how to be assertive. And like, why is that? Well, it's possible that they didn't have a father role model growing up. As a result, they didn't learn how to be assertive. So there's that whole element there too, where there are some men that need to learn how to control the monster, which I was me. I was that. And it sounds like you were kind of a bit like that too. So we need to learn to control the monster. And in and of itself, my opinion is that when you learn to control the monster, when you know that you can do bad, when you know that you can hurt someone, but you choose to not, for me, that's you being a good person.
Yeah, which even like I suppressed it to the point where I fucking was just craving the people from my past because I just wanted that fucking grunge back in my life. My life felt so fucking polished that I was like, wow, it's good, but I'm fucking bored. Like,
that's really good. It's not about resisting it. It's just about accepting I've got this in me.
And I fucking
being aware more as well.
Yeah.
100%.
If you never do any self-reflection, then you're never ever going to be able to grow.
Most definitely. Which is a good one to wrap up anyway. Let's do it because I certainly am. So if you're watching this and you are feeling along the same pathway, you've got a belief or an opinion of your own, let us know. Have a comment, write into us, let us know. You can also reach out to Lachie. Where can they reach you?
Where can we find you, mate? Where can people find you?
Instagram's where I'm most active, at
Instagram.
At Lachlan Stewart, or you can go to themanthatcanproject.com.
Beautiful, you heard it there, themanthatcanproject.com.
Facebook as well, The Man That Can Project.
The Man That Can Project. Anyway, guys, we
let's leave it at that, hey?
Just give it a bit of timekeeping here, right? We got like a starbo over
keeping the tangents on track, but thanks a lot, Lachie, for coming out and chatting with us.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much, guys. So once again, like, subscribe. Any man that you think needs to have a listen to this. Geez, any woman that you need to know.
Just anyone.
Anybody that wants to join the conversation. Because once again, as Lachie said, the way that we start to change the things that are going on is by having more meaningful conversations. So reach out, have a chat, take care. We'll speak to you all soon.
See you guys.